Hi, I'm Paul Roberts. This is Conscious Counseling 101, and today we're going to talk about the merits of financial solvency and marriage. These are goals that one of the people I'm speaking to right now has for his life. And the last couple of videos, if you go back a little bit, you see how I talk about perspectives and how what we set our goals for is so important, not only about how we go towards them, but how we figure out what goals are worthy to be set. So let me just share a few things that we're going to be talking about in this particular circumstance. We're talking about a person that wants financial independence and somebody that wants a wife and kids and the whole, American dream thing. He didn't mention picket fences painted white, but, that kind of thing. And a lot of people want those things still. Traditional values. He lives in a rural setting and works at a casino. He's been reluctant to really give me a lot more detail with which I could work with. But he did say that he has what he believes a disability issue. He says that even though he feels confronted by it, it shouldn't be as big of a problem that it is for him, but that other people in his family he's bitter and resentful towards because they've made him feel like he's wearing this label and this stigma that comes with it and this feeling of that he can't do as much, and it's gotten him to where he is, where he hasn't done as much. This is the way I understand it, at least from what he's told me. And he says you can't visually see it or understand that it's there in his presence if you were to witness him. But he feels that he probably does have some of it, but he feels like he's additionally crippled because people have made him think maybe less of himself as he's gone along, and he didn't go down the roads that he would have normally gone down that so many seem in America to want to go down. So, let's talk about the things we know. He works at a casino in a rural area. He's concerned that he has a dead-end job. Well, I came from Florida, and we voted against gambling, we voted against lottery, all this stuff, all these years. And finally they said, well, we're not going to give the education system the money that it needs unless you allow lottery. And then what we'll do is we'll use the lottery money to pay for that. What they were doing is they were holding back the money they should have given to education and held the voters hostage. Do what we say, or your education system won't have anything. So eventually the lottery got voted in. Pathetic. Why am I against gambling? I'm not against gambling because I think it's necessarily a sin. It would border on covetousness. It would border on, why are you putting those values high in your life? And it also would border on exploitation or an oppression of your fellow human beings, because the lowest common denominators are going to be the most susceptible to the lives that could be ruined by not balancing themselves and going out and squandering what little they have instead of finding a more productive way to use it. To squander it on lottery tickets and things. Whenever I'm behind somebody in line and they're buying lottery tickets, it's never anybody that I would say, this person's got their act together. Maybe I should be thinking about doing what they're doing. It's never like that. It's always, I feel so badly for the person, but I'm not going to speak to them because it's their own choice to do these things. It's their own choice to have their lives be this way, and hopefully the tutelage that they gain from themselves with heightened conscience will help them to see that what they're doing ultimately can be approved upon. This particular person, I don't know if he has any gambling issues or anything like that, but he works in that industry. Well, if you're worried about a dead-end job, and you're worried about, or you're concerned about, and you're wanting to have more financial independence and a wife and kids and the American dream, and enjoying all the things that is supposed to bring, one thing I would say to you is don't worry about any of your decisions affecting your dead-end job, because I think it probably is a dead-end job, because I don't know exactly what you do, but probably anybody could work in that industry in the capacity that you are if it's a dead-end job. I would say in a rural setting where casinos are, a lot of times, there aren't a lot of other things you can do. My recommendation would be to consider, if you really want these things, getting past some of those first hazards, eliminating yourself from the job and the place where you live. You have no attachments, you're not concerned about family, you don't have wife and kids, you don't have this marvelous, wonderful home and life that you want to continue to have flourish for yourself. You might want to consider looking for other possibilities. Because of the situation that we're in right now with the virus and the financial difficulties, if you're an astute young man, you can go and study possibilities as they emerge and gravitate towards them. Not only location-wise, but people that are wanting to have a better life too. They're looking for people that are like-minded, but also occupation. Different ways that you can say, I was doing this, but now there's a need for this, and there's a lot more promise in this. I would suggest looking at those things. Don't make any drastic moves. Just like they say, don't make any big decisions after a loved one passes away and you're grieving. Because during that time, you're going to be working totally with emotion. And maybe not even balanced emotion. Maybe, I just want to do something to relieve what I'm feeling. Don't operate like that. But consider these things. If you look at the video right before this, use the perspective tools that I was talking about of really evaluating and bringing up close what it is that you think you want and studying every nuance of it so that you know it's not going to make everything better. It's just going to make things different. You will have, I've lived a life of 30 years with my wife. I've lived a life with 20 years with my children. I've had a home and a career, and I've been an entrepreneur all this time. And I will tell you, I've had a hard road. In fact, one of the reasons why I have this ability to counsel and talk with people is because I've learned so many lessons from my introspection and from the road that I've been down. And I can now offer to you. And I'll tell you right now, if you are not balanced, if you are not strong, if you do not have a sense of the overall and good perspective balance and this drive to keep doing for yourself and learning and growing, then you're going to find as much hard times, maybe more, on the road and when you get to your goal. So I caution you to thoroughly examine it and not make great big decisions that are going to change everything. Even though I'm recommending that you probably don't live in the best place. There probably aren't a lot of opportunities there. There's going to be a whole lot of new opportunities coming up. I don't even know what they are yet. But when we go back to work, and America has more things that are happening, and it's going to be a huge shift of the way things are done, there's going to be opportunity for the people that are willing to have opportunity. And the people that work hard and have a dead-end job, guess what? They could be at the front of those lines. Now, you have to have that. If you don't have that, you have to be incredibly lucky, or you have to be willing to get that goal at the end that you want no matter what. And when you make compromises, you find anxiety and depression and difficult circumstances that you have to continue to overcome even once you've obtained the goal that you think you want. Are you strong enough to do that? Ask yourself this. If you're not doing very well right now with what you have, how will you do well with what you receive? You mentioned in the first letter that you consider yourself a Christian. You probably know about the talents parable. If a man was given by the master before he went away 10, 5, 3, or 1 talents, and he said, do what you can with these, when he came back, the one that had the 10 or the 5 or the 3 said, Master, I took what you gave me and did all these things. Here is what you had and more. And the master was pleased and gave more to that person. And now he has more responsibilities because he's proven he was worthy with the responsibility he was given. But the one that only received the 1 was fearful and just didn't do what he could have done, and just out of his fear of the master, he hid it in the ground, and at least he could say, here, you have it back. Well, the master was not pleased with him because even though he got back what he wanted, the individual proved himself to be worthless. He wasn't up to the task of doing something more with what life gave him. If you identify even in the slightest with that individual, do not embark on major life decisions and changes of your road yet. Start working with me and yourself on heightening your conscious and understanding of all things first, and really examining that long-term goal before you start really going after it like gangbusters. Make sure you're worthy of the obstacles that are going to be on that road and the difficulties you'll have to still endure with the larger picture once it opens to you. This is where your mind should be right now. This is the most generic video I can give you because you haven't given me too much to work with. As far as those people that said, look, you're only capable of this because you've got these disorders, don't dishonor them or throw them out of your life, but leave and cleave. Jesus quoted that for this reason man was to leave his father and mother and go and find the helpmate that he was suited for and that was suited for him. And this is why marriage exists, so that they can have the fullness and the richness and the whole of what creation was made for man to have. And through that long road, if they followed the Lord, they would gain wisdom and insight, and they would conquer every challenge and battle along that road, and they would become more for it. If you're not qualified to do that, oh gosh, don't go on that road just yet. Don't be needy and codependent oriented and I just want it because it's supposed to be so good and I covet it. Covetedness is only one of the 10 commandments. The greatest commandment is to do unto others in love the way you would have done unto you with your brothers in Christ's teachings. How many of us can live like that? Well, you've got a test here now. You're bitter and resentful towards those that have looked down at you because of what they say your thing is. It's held you in a bubble. You haven't gotten past it as much as you would have liked to. You're resentful towards them. The first thing you want to practice, believe it or not, is right here at home, right where you are now, without going down that road at all, without even looking at that farther journey. But believe me, what I'm saying now will be required to get to that final place you want to go to. Learn to exercise that love and that release over your bitterness and resentfulness and lack of love towards even those that have seemed to have done you wrong. If you can do that, you've proven yourself worthy of taking that first step on that journey. If you can't, be concerned that you may be very much like that person with the one talent that doesn't know what to do and is fearful, does nothing, and is not treated as though he is valuable by the master and is not given or bequeathed more. Remember, when we go down that road, the master isn't Jesus standing by your side. The master is not your employer. Okay? The master will appear when the servant is ready. And that's what you are in life. The best and highest thing you can come to is a servant. As you go down that road, the master is symbolized by the blessings that will be given to you by your awareness of all things, your conscious understanding of all things. And that presence can be, you could call it God. You could call it Jesus' blessings. Anything you ask from me in my name, you'll receive. That's the kicker, though. You got to do it in his name. If you ask for anything you're not worthy of or something that he wouldn't want you to have, chances are you won't get it, unless he wants to teach you a lesson from it. You have to be willing to be what you need to be on that walk as you're navigating those obstacles. You have to be a servant and worthy the entire time. How can you be a servant when you're not aware of what you're doing fully and who you are? But you're only looking with tunnel vision at the thing you want to get to. How can you bypass obstacles that are in your way if you think you can only go straight to that? That's border on covetousness, and you're pushing down everything else in your life that you need to deal with. You need to become consciously aware of and win. So some of these obstacles aren't going to be gone around. Some of these obstacles aren't going to be gone over. Some of these obstacles are going to be conquered, pushed aside by you, by finding heightened conscious strength and understanding of, so that you have the power to see what they are and vanquish them. And many of them can be vanquished with none other than conscious understanding and the love that could come because of it, if you're willing to give that. We'll stop there today. I'm Paul Roberts. This is Conscious Counseling 101.